You know, we've been meaning to make a commute video, where to live if you want to avoid traffic, etc. And this is the perfect opportunity. We just got some new clients in. Kristen's gonna be working here, Boyd's gonna be working virtually, Kristen's a physician, etc. And they wanna keep the commute like under 25 minutes. They could go 30 if they had to, but really wanna keep the commute within 25 minutes. Given that and given some of their other preferences, there's really just a handful of towns that we're gonna be looking at. Honolulu is an obvious commute hub. I would say second to that is probably this area. Pearl Harbor Hickam is the biggest single employer on the island. Add in all of these hospitals and military bases on top of Pearl Harbor Hickam, like Fort Shafter, etc. And where do I live and commute from if I am working in this area? That's what this video is about. So just so you can get your bearings on where we are on the island, we'll bring up the map. We're right here at Kaiser. Kaiser Permanente is one of the bigger medical entities. Kaiser's one of the big players on the island. If we go this way, see those houses over there? That's AMR. So in our PCS to Hawaii video that we shot a while back, we go through the AMR military housing. This is the area where that whole water crisis, the fuel leaking into the water table is happening. Now this video is gonna be evergreen, so I'm not gonna focus on that today, but just know this is that military housing water crisis area. That's all military housing right there. This hill called Red Hill is just blocking Pearl Harbor Hickam. If we look that way, you can see some tall buildings. So that's Salt Lake, Mapunapuna, the airport. Fort Shafter Army base is right over that hill. Tripler Army Hospital is right there. Have you been to Tripler?
No, but it's been years.
It's been years. A lot of Tripler is just open fields and grass, and we can just like post up by the softball fields or whatever, and there's a really nice view. So we can just catch the view and talk about the commuting around here. So we are at Tripler, right over there, big pink famous landmark hospital. So talking about commuting. So these particular clients, same conversation for a lot of people that work around here. They want to keep their commute under a half an hour. Luckily, we have the budget to work with in this situation, but you know, the video still applies to everyone. When they were telling me what the properties that they were interested in, the areas that they like, we were looking at the windward side. So over these mountains through the H-3, which H-3 is like right there, is the closest way to get to the east side. Coming from Kailua, coming from Kaneohe, getting to Kaiser right here, I mean, you're looking at like a 10-minute commute, no traffic. Now, I'll be interested to see what the map shows when the editing happens and stuff. But I remember my brother-in-law, we used to do jiu-jitsu in Kaneohe. And when I met him in Aiea, I was like, wow, we're in Kaneohe at the jiu-jitsu place in like 10 minutes. I remember thinking, wow, I didn't realize it was that quick. That's no traffic. So 10, 12 minutes, something like that, depending on where in Kaneohe specifically. But predictably, you're gonna have a commute that's typically 30 minutes or less, even during commute hours. Probably more in the area of, I would think like 20 to 25, 20 to 22 minutes coming from Kaneohe, jumping on that H-3 and getting here. Or like the Kaiser that we were at, it's like right over that green roof. Kailua, you have a little bit more of a commute factor, or maybe you're gonna choose to go through the Like or the Pali, go through Honolulu and then come back this way. But still, you're looking at that half hour or under half hour commute for the most part. As the crow flies, which I say all the time, as the crow flies, it's just right over the mountain, so the commute's not bad. Kaneohe, Kailua, the windward side, the Ko'ola Mountains, everyone knows about that. But I also brought up Aiea. I said, do you guys know about Aiea? And they're like, yeah, we think so. We saw your YouTube channel. So Aiea is, you know, you can kind of see Red Hill. After that, there's the stadium and Salt Lake. You know, the next kind of metro area fronting Pearl Harbor on like the Mauka side, mountain side of Pearl Harbor is Aiea. I think Aiea would work for these people as well. But now they're in that like west to east commute energy. Like if you're going from Pearl Ridge to Kaiser, not even 5 miles, yeah?
Pearl Ridge?
From Pearl Ridge or like Pearl Country Club.
I could walk it if he was a walker.
You could walk it, yeah. You could, yeah, I mean, you could walk it. Where would you go through though? It's like easily bikeable, walkable, mopedable. I also thought about Aiea. So you're working in this area, you want a short commute, Aiea would be an obvious choice. Maybe even Pro City. Pro City, you're right before that H1, H2 merge, or you're right after it, I should say. And you could jump on the freeway and probably be okay. But that added commute in the morning from Pro City to Aiea, it might set you over the 30-minute limit in peak hours. But Aiea for sure. Another one I brought up to them that they weren't really thinking about was Manoa. When you go towards town, and we have our Manoa video that you can reference. Manoa is like way over there. So you see Honolulu starting with all those buildings, and the first valley in Honolulu would probably be like Kalihi Valley. There's like Alewa Heights, Papakolea, Tantless. And then you get to the Pali. So you get to like Nu'uanu and Manoa. For these people in particular, I was like, hey, do you guys know anything about the valleys in town? And they're like, we see them, but we don't know anything about them. So I said, have you watched my Manoa video? Which they hadn't. So I said, go watch the Manoa video. Let me know what you think. Gave them a little description of Manoa, and they said, that actually sounds great. We actually really like the sounds of that. I probably wouldn't go past Manoa if I were commuting over here. You're just adding a little bit of unnecessary traffic. If you're working in town in Honolulu and that's the destination, a lot of people think East Honolulu. So you're Kahala, Kaimuki, Aina, and towards Hawaii Kai, all of that stuff. But if you have to go through town to get to this, I don't know that it makes sense from a commute perspective to go any further than Manoa. Manoa is a place where they could get what they wanted. These people are okay with being closer to the city, but don't necessarily want to be like in one of those big buildings. So you have this like a homey feel, you know, like a at-home, good sized yard, 3 dogs. So we're considering yard size, they're considering school zones, etc. Not only Manoa, but Nu'uanu up the Pali, and then maybe even Aleva Heights. So there's these valleys in town that I would consider for them. And then another one, obvious one, is Moanalua Valley and Salt Lake. Moanalua Valley is literally like all that stuff. You can kind of see through these cars over here, houses and stuff. So Moanalua Valley, all of the houses that were just behind me right there, that's all Moanalua. If you look on the map, when we bring the map up, it's the stuff that is in like kind of in front of the airport. You know, Mauka, towards the mountains from the airport. I would be thinking Moanalua Valley would be another great option. The only thing about Moanalua Valley is typically the homes are older, need a lot of work unless they've just been renovated or flipped or something, and they hardly ever go on sale. In the year when I check Moanalua Valley, there's 0 inventory. It's a small place. Its positioning in terms of the commute to town or to these other work centers it's such a prime location. They're just never available, and they're a hot commodity, hot ticket item. Yeah, they're not available too often. So Honolulu goes like big buildings, flat industrial area, and then a set of tall buildings again. And that next set of tall buildings there, that's Salt Lake. If you wanted to have a nice commute to Kaiser or Tripler or Hickam, or Salt Lake's an obvious option. There are some single family houses. It's just a little bit different vibe. These people, I think they're looking for more of like a, you know, a lush, mountainous sort of, like that Hawaii feel, like trees and foliage and stuff around you, and not necessarily all of the concrete. You can see that's a metropolis, right? So there's a lot of concrete over there. These people are also considering Mililani. So Mililani has come up as well because Eva is a challenge, right? Eva Beach, Kapolei, it's a challenge for everyone because the newer, more modern homes, maybe even brand new, just built or recently built, more square footage for your dollar than a lot of places like Kaneohe, Kailua, Manoa, etc. It's a challenge for everyone. It's a challenge that we have to bring up. But then you have Mililani, which is a compromise, cooler weather, not as bad of a commute. So back to the point of commuting, not as bad of a commute coming down that H-2. You're getting away from all of that west side energy that's behind Pro City all the way to Makaha. There's so much traffic and it can't get better. Maybe the rail will help when it comes into effect, maybe not, we'll see. Oftentimes you are gonna get here to Tripler, to Kaiser, to Hickam in 30 minutes from Mililani. I can't promise it. It's not like a reliable metric that's gonna be a 30-minute commute every time, especially if you're commuting during commute hours. Because just that Pro City to Aiea block in the mornings and then in the afternoons likewise, that alone could be like 20 minutes, you know? Mahi had a showing and she was like, why the hell is H-3 closed? So that's a good point. If you're living on the windward side, the pro is there's multiple ways to get over the mountains. You can go H-3, Like Highway, the Pali. On the negative side, those veins get shut down periodically each year for maintenance. So you're like, okay, I live in Kaneohe, I work at Kaiser, my commute's like 15, 20 minutes all the time, life is great. But then when they shut down H-3 for like 2 or 4 weeks, you're gonna be going Like. Everyone else is going to be going Like, and now you have a 45-minute commute or whatever. So that's just the nature of living on an island. Disadvantages to living in, say, Manoa or Mililani or something is there's really only one way to get here. It's the H1. If there's a problem on the H1, call your boss, you're a doctor. Hey, that case, I'm not going to be able to scrub in. Accident on the H1. The good news is everyone in Hawaii is used to it, so it's just how it goes. Aiea, though, you could jump on a bicycle and make it work. Kaiser's not way up the hill like this, so you'd probably be okay. Tripler, it's gonna be a tough bike up the hill. In terms of year built, Manoa is gonna be the oldest homes. Manoa, you tend to find kind of well-kept, renovated homes for whatever reason. But your Moanaluas, your Salt Lake, Kailua, your Kaneohe, yeah, there's a decent chance you're buying homes that were built 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Not too often you're gonna find 90s and after, unless they were one-off custom builds. People consider this still Honolulu, but remember, locals, we say town. So all those big buildings over there, Ward, our Kaka'ako videos, our Makiki, Manoa, that's like town. This, locals don't really have a word for this, but if you think about job density, Pearl Harbor Hickam, I heard a statistic, they're the #1 employer on the island, the largest employer. Then you have these hospitals, Tripler, you have Fort Shafter over there, you have Kaiser, you have all of that in the industry there, you have the airport. So if you needed to commute to these areas, this is the Zoom that we would have. This is the, hey Derek, Mahe, let's jump on a Google Meet. Let's have a conversation. I'm going to be moving here and working here. This is just kind of the conversation we would have in terms of commuting. So hope that it was valuable. And if you have further questions, make sure to hit us up.